When you multiply a vector by a real number, the real number is called a scalar. So in this video, we will be adding and subtracting vectors that are being multiplied by scalars. Now, we're going to do this algebraically and graphically. So let's start algebraically over here. If I want to do 3u minus 2v, so that's going to look like this. 3 times vector u, which is negative 3 comma negative 1, and then minus 2 times vector v, 6 comma negative 4. Now look, when you subtract, it's the same thing as adding a negative. So I'm just going to put this plus sign right here. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply by the 3. So I'm going to get negative 9 comma negative 3 out of that one. And now I'm going to multiply this vector by negative 2. That's going to give me negative 12 comma positive 8. So now I can just add the corresponding components. So that is going to give me negative 21 comma 5. Okay, so that's how you would do this algebraically. Now let's see how we can do this graphically, but now that I see what the answer is, I kind of need to make sure I'm going to have enough space for this. Okay, I've moved my axes over a little bit. Hopefully this will be enough space. So let's start by building the vector 3u. Alright, so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be building the vector 3u and the vector 2v, and then I'm going to subtract those. Alright, so the vector 3u is based, of course, on the vector u. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw vector u, which is negative 3 comma negative 1. So I'm going to put this one in standard position, because why not? So starting right here, if I go left 3 and down 1, alright, that's going to be vector u. I think I'll make this one blue. Okay, now I need 3u. So I'm going to copy and paste this to make 3 of them. Okay, I lost my pointer. Hold on. Okay, so now I've got 3 of them. So I'm going to try to put them end to end. It's giving me a little bit of trouble. Alright. Just in case you need to do the same thing, I solved the problem by right-clicking on the ink. If I right-click and then I chose treat selected ink as drawing, and I guess if you treat it as a drawing, then you can move it exactly wherever you want. Anyway, there's 3 times vector u. Now let's go ahead and do vector v. So let's see, let me get my arrow tool happening. Vector v is 6 comma negative 4. So that's going to be 6 to the right and 4 down. So I'm going to put this in standard position as well for this method. So so this is 3, 6 to the right and 4 down. So this is vector v. I'm going to go ahead and make this one red. Okay, so this is vector v. Now let's go ahead and make 2 vector v. We want 2v here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it. So Control C, Control V. Now I've got two of them. Now if it gives me any trouble, I'm going to change the settings. But this seems to be working out pretty well. So this is 2V. Maybe I'll just go ahead and label it real quick. Because this is vector V and this is vector V. So this is vector 2V. So we need to now subtract 3U, which I have drawn here, minus 2V, which I have here. So the way you subtract is you draw the resultant vector from terminal point to terminal point across like this. However, the order is in reverse. So if I want to subtract 3U minus 2V, what I actually need to do is I need to draw my resultant vector from 2V to 3U. That's the order in which I have to draw it. So you reverse it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to draw the resultant vector from the end of 2V to the end of 3U. Okay, can I fit all this on my screen? Alright, so let me grab my vector drawing tool. And I just forgot what I'm going to do. For 2V to 3U. So here we go. So that means I'm going to have to draw it from here to here. Okay, and I'm going to make this green. Okay, and there it is. This will be the resultant vector of 3U minus 2V. And I'll go ahead and label it up. Alright, so that is how you would do that graphically. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Alright, let's see. Didn't quite need all of that space. So what's going on with example 2? Alright, so something very similar. So I'm definitely going to need some more space. But here, let's go ahead and do the algebraic part. So if I'm going to do 2U plus 4V, so that means I'm going to do 2U plus 4V. So multiplying here, I'm going to get 4 comma 2. And multiplying this vector is going to give me negative 4 comma 12. Now if I add my corresponding components, that's going to give me 0 comma 14. Alright, so that tells me what the answer should look like. It should be a vertical resultant vector in the end that's 14 tall. Alright, hopefully I left myself enough space. I guess we will find out. So first I need to build 2U. That means I'm going to start with vector U, which is 2 comma 1. So I'll go ahead and put that one in standard position. So 2 comma 1 means over 2 and up 1. So there's vector U. I'm going to go ahead and let this one be blue. I need 2U, so I'm going to copy and paste this. Okay, so it's trying to give me some trouble moving it. So I'm going to tell it to treat this as a drawing. And now I can move it over. Okay, so there I have 2U is complete. So now I need 4V that I'm just going to add on to the end of this. So 4V. So that means I need to build vector V, which is negative 1 comma 3. Alright, so I'm going to pick up from the end of 2u, and I will go left 1 up 3. So from here, if I go left 1 and up 3, I'm going to end right here. Okay, now I want to make this red. You know what, maybe I'll go pink. Alright, I'm going to make this one pink. Now we want 4v, so I need 4 of these. So let me see if I can Control C, Control V, and to duplicate this thing. Alright, so I think it's going to give me a hassle moving it again, so I'm going to right click on it and treat it as a drawing. Okay, so now I have 2 of them, but I need to keep going because I need 4 of them. So I'm going to Control C, Control V again, and looks like we're good to go. I can just move it. Now I've got 3 of them. Control C, Control V one more time. Uh-oh. Alright, looked like it disappeared on me there. Maybe I need to click somewhere else before I do my Control V. Okay. Note to self. So I'm running out of space while I'm going into my other drawing, which is not ideal, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it for now. I might have to zoom out a little bit. Okay, I don't like going into my other drawing, but what are you gonna do? So that's it. So now I have 2u is the blue part, and I have 4v, which is the pink part. Now, so the resultant, the sum of 2u and 4v, should go from the beginning to the end of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that vector now. Alright, right here from the very beginning and all the way to the end. Alright, and I like to make my resultant vectors green, so that's what I'll do. Okay, so there you go. So I think I'll just go through and kind of label everything. So these were vector v's, so this was a vector v. And these two were vectors u. And of course our resultant vector 2u plus 4v. And there you go. So if we were to count this, I'm sure you would find that this is 14 units tall, just like we got algebraically. Alright, let's take a look at example 3. I think this time I'm going to do the picture first, and then I'll do the algebraic steps second. So we are going to draw 4u minus 2v. So let's start by drawing 4u. And we will start that by drawing vector u. So vector u is 5, negative 2. So that's going to be over 5 and down 2. And let's go ahead and make that blue. Alright, so there's vector u. Now we need 4u, so I need to make this 4 times as long. So I'm going to copy and paste this and see if they let me move it. They're not letting me move it for some reason. So I'm going to say treat as drawing. And now I can move it. I don't know why I have to do that, but there it is. So now I got 2 of them. So copy and paste again. Okay, now I've got 3 of them. copy and paste again, and now I've got 4 of them. So there is 4u. Now, what do I need next? Now I'm going to draw a vector v. So here I go. I'm going to come up here. Vector v is over 1 and up 3. So when you subtract, I like to put them both in standard position. So over 1 up 3 is going to be like this. And I'm going to make this one pink. But we want 2v. So I'm going to duplicate this. Alright, I copied and pasted. Alright, they're not letting me move it freely, so I'm going to tell it to treat as drawing. And I'll put it right here. Okay, so that's 2 of them. Now, when you subtract, what you do is you draw the resultant vector from the terminal point to the other terminal point. You know what? I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit so it fits on the screen. You have to draw it from terminal point to terminal point. But the order matters, so be very careful. If I want to do 4u minus 2v, when I draw the resultant vector from terminal point to terminal point, I have to reverse this, and I have to draw from vector v to vector u. Alright, it's the opposite order from the way it appears. So I'm going to draw my resultant vector from vector v to the terminal point of vector u. So here we go. So that means I'm going to draw it from here to here. And I like my resultant vector to be green. So here it is, all labeled up. Now let's go ahead and do the algebraic part. So I'll just recopy this. If I want to do 4u minus 2v, algebraically, I'm going to do 4 times vector u, which is 5 comma negative 2, and then minus 2 times vector v, 1 comma 3. Now when you subtract, it's the same thing as adding the opposite. So I'm just going to put a plus sign here, and I'm going to wind up multiplying by negative 2. So when I multiply by 4, that gives me the vector 20 comma negative 8. And when I multiply by negative 2, that gives me negative 2 comma negative 6. Now if I add the corresponding components, that's going to give me 18 comma negative 14. Okay, so that should be the resultant vector here. Now if I were to count the units of this resultant vector that I drew, I think you will find that this is going to be 18 units over to the right and then 14 units down. Alright, feel free to count it to verify. So for this problem, we want to do 4u minus 2v. Let's start by building 4u. So vector u is 1 comma 6. So in standard position, I'm going to go right 1 and up 6. So there's 3 and there is 6. So this is vector u. Let's go ahead and make it blue. Now I'm going to copy and paste this. So I've selected it, I hit copy. I found it works best if you click away from it before you hit Control V. Because I want 4 of them, for you. So now I can go like this, and now I have 2 of them. Click away from it and hit Control V again. Now I've got 3 of them. Okay. I just see that they're drifting a little bit. Alright. And now I have 4 of them. Okay, so this is for you. This is all for you. I'm silly. Okay, now let's do vector v. So vector v is -2, 1. So when I draw vector v, again I'm going to start in standard position, and I'm going to go -2 and then up 1. Left 2, up 1. Let's go ahead and make this one pink. And Control C, click away, Control V. Alright, and now I have 2 of them. And that's all I wanted for V. I wanted 2V. So now we need to draw the resultant vector. You see, I want to do for U minus 2v. When you subtract vectors, you draw the resultant vector from terminal point to terminal point across the tops. However, you have to reverse the order. So when I draw my resultant vector, I'm going to start with 2v, and then I'm going to draw to 4u. See how it's backwards? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start at 2v, and then I'm going to draw it all the way to the end of 4u. So there it is. I'm just going to go ahead and change the color to green. Alright, and now I'm just going to go back and label it up. So there is the beautiful diagram. Now I'm just going to go back and do it algebraically. So if I want to do 4u minus 2v, so that's going to look like this. 4u, whoops, minus 2v. Now, when you subtract, what you can do is add the opposite. So I'm just going to put a plus in here, and I'm going to look at this as a -2. So when I multiply the 4, that'll give me 4, 24. And when I multiply the -2, that's going to give me positive 4, -2. When I add the corresponding components, that's going to give me 8, 22. So this should be the resultant vector. So study this green. If you start at the initial point, if you go over 8 and up 22, you will find that it matches what we got when we drew the picture.